Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Welcome to the Verdant Valleys, and we're going to talk about another wolf game part of the full game gameplay. I'm going to take a look at the farmers on this video. What do they do? How do they affect everything in the game? Whether it's resource collection, whether it's breeding or protection, we're going to go over all of it. And I'm going to talk at the end of the video about something that is extremely important in the current meta and how you should be using the farmers to get the most return from them every 30 days before they cool down. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, and let's go. If you wanted to join our community Discord, go over to smizzle.tv/discord. And if you wanted access to the token locked portion, the NFT portion of the Discord, go to smizzle.tv/HQ. Please follow my links. They're all available in the link tree, smizzle.tv/links, if you're looking for a shortcut where everything is to get the Smizgang HQ key. There are fake HQ keys on OpenSea right now, so please use my link at smizzle.tv/HQ if you are interested. 33% of all the proceeds from every sale goes to charity. So appreciate you guys supporting. Make sure that you join the Discord. And let's get to how the farmers work in Wolfgame and how you can use them properly. If you watched my read through on the wallpaper and my walkthrough of the tutorial, you kind of probably already have an idea of what you're getting into, but I'm going to dig a little bit deeper because I've went through and used all the different farmers that I have. I have like 20 something farmers or something along those lines. I've used them and I wasn't using them as optimally as I could have because I was trying to test out all the game mechanics, knowing that I was going to trigger their 30-day cooldown after doing anything. Very simply put, when it comes to resource collection, if you're going to attach them to your sheep, they give you either immunity from looting, and depending on which one you're using, the rarer ones are the bigs, then 100 years, then moving downward all the way down to average Joe. The rarer farmers give you a longer loot cycle where you're going to be protected. The multiplier on the rate is 2x, same day structure. So 20 days for the bigs, 8 days for the average Joes. And you can get immediate resources. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. The bigs give you 500 a day down to the average Joe giving you 200 for that one. Boom, you can click and then farm that resource immediately. If you're breeding, the bigs give you 3 days of immunity. The 100 years, 2.5 days, 1 day for the average. And then on tax collection, if you're a landowner, you can boost your multiplier on the taxes that you earn. You can hold taxes for up to 7 days and then use that multiplier on an individual land. You can't apply it to every land that you have. One farmer per one land. As you can see, all the farmers that I have, I've kind of used. I used a Big Daddy for boosting, so let's talk about that first. Taking a look back at the Wolfgame wallpaper here, using boosting basically gives you a 2x multiplier on whatever it is that you farm. And I think I have a sheep in this land. I think he's kind of down here. If I was to drag this all the way to the bottom, I've got one of my farmers with one of my big mamas protecting him, getting water resource. Now, if I would apply this to that, I would get 20 days of 2x resource farming. However, if you collect the resource that you're 2xing, so like this sheep right now is getting 11.5 water per day. He would collect 23 water per day if you attached a 2x booster. As you can see, I've used protect on this one. I've got 400 almost 8 hours remaining. When you finish the process, that farmer goes on cooldown. So the boosted farmer ends up going, it's completely useless. It's a useless thing as of right now. Now, everything that I say is going to be with the caveat that the shepherd can change any of these multipliers, any of these things as he chooses as the game goes along, because right now there is a very distinct meta. There's a way that the majority of people are using their farmers. We'll get to that in a second. And there's a very much the meta of farming right now, which I'm not sure that people can get to because there are no farmers to be bought on OpenSea. Like if we were to go take a look over on OpenSea right now, every farmer that is listed currently, no matter whether you're looking at the average Joes, whether you're looking at, like if we have diesels, if you look at the diesels that are listed right now, every one that's up here has been used. They're all on cooldown timer. This video is being recorded on January the 4th, so while I intend it to be evergreen, the market part of it is not going to be evergreen. If you add in the average, above average Janes and the kids, who basically have all the same powers as one another, they've all been used as well. So every one of these I checked before I did this video. Every one of them is on cooldown. So coming back to here, as you can see, mine are on cooldown for 26 days, 28 days, 27 days. If you were to boost and then collect or get looted by another wolf that's roaming around and sees that you have way too much resources and they want to spend their 25 energy, you lose that boosted farmer. So basically, very simply, don't use the 2x boost. It's completely useless when it comes to the farming right now. The other thing we had mentioned was that barns are for breeding, and what they do is they can give you protection. Now, here's a barn right over here. This is a level 1 barn. This is community 39, not a community that I have properties in, but I had a sheep here and I wanted to show you that big mama attached to it. As you can see, this community has level 1 defense. So it costs 575 energy for a wolf to try and break in. And in the first part of the breeding, if you watch the tutorial, if you watch the wallpaper, the first half of the breeding process is if they jump in there, they can get chops. The second half, they can steal the baby sheep if they get out with it. So it's going to cost them a lot of energy. So it's a big risk that a wolf takes to break into a barn. And right now, at this point in the game, we're in like week 2 of the game, almost at the end of week 2 of the game. There is no benefit to wolves stealing, specifically in the chops phase, because they get chops, which is kind of the stable coin of this game. There's great sites that popped up. This is wolfgame.guru. They chart the chops and what everything is worth. This is going to be extremely important to you once I get to the meta of why farmers are currently massively overpowered. 1 chop is worth 1 chop. 1 chop gets you an awful lot of wood. 3.x, you could trade 1 chop for, a lot of wood. You could trade 1 chop for less than 1 water. When it comes to stone is also somewhat expensive. When it comes to grass is super cheap. Grass is extremely cheap. So like if you have to get grass to breed, you need water to build bathhouses, you need stone to build bathhouses and barns, and you need wood to build the barns. So these assets are being valued at what they currently are being used for, and right now most people are building the bathhouses. So everybody wants to farm the water, as you can see by what I was farming before. So you can use them during breeding. You can use those farmers to stop a wolf from breaking in and stealing. But because you don't need to, I would risk it, specifically in the first part. It's not worth using your farmers for this at this point. It's also, at this point in the game, breeding is going to come into play once lands get level 3 and 4 defenses, because it's going to cost a wolf a lot more energy in order to steal. At some points up to over 800 energy, and the Gen 0 wolves can have 2,000 energy. So it's a big decision to decide if you want to jump in there. And if you don't steal, if there's a higher alpha wolf in there already, or the same alpha wolf as you already, you just wasted all that energy. So it's a big decision with a lot of risk if a wolf wants to try and steal. And if they steal during the chops phase, the first half of the breeding cycle, they really aren't getting all of that much. They're not getting much in return. Somebody said they charged in and got one. They got like 17 chops. That's $17 worth for 575 energy. It's not a good trade. Somebody else got 27 chops. Not a good trade at all. In terms of tax collection, which is the other multiplier that they have. So if you go to your NFTs, if you're a landowner, every day you accrue taxes. You can claim them. You can add a farmer, boost with a farmer. I currently don't have any farmers. You can see all of mine are on cooldown because I've kind of used them all. But looking back at the multipliers for the game, the bigs multiply by 10x, but can only be used on 1 land, 8x for 100 years, 6x. This seemed like where I was going to want to use them, but right now, the meta is to use them on resource collection. It's massively overpowered, mostly based on these charts that I showed you. If we look at how much water is worth right now, we price it by water. 1 chop is worth 3/4 of 1 water. As you can see by my little sheepy down here, who is farming 11.5 water per day, I protected him for 20 days. I also hit him with an instant before to see what the difference was going to be. In 20 days, 20 times this is like 230-ish. You also want to farm into sunny day collection. I mapped this out, counted 20 days ahead when I was going to start. It'll finish on a sunny day. Set a reminder in your phone Make sure that you collect, because a wolf will steal from you if you have an unprotected sheep, because then you get a 20% bonus to what you're going to collect. But the reality is, using the farmers to instantly collect water, and based on the real life valuation of what the in-game resources are, water, chops, wood, stone, based on the market as it currently fluctuates within the game, the sheep in the game are essentially producing, if you burn a sheep, remove that NFT from circulation forever, you get 1,000 chops in the game right here. Denoted by this, I have 300 chops because I've been kind of trading things back and forth after I collect taxes, after I collect from my resource farming sheep and everything else, or steal with my wolves. So if you burn a sheep, you get 1,000. If you look at the Generation 0 sheep that exist on OpenSea right now, the floor is around 0.8 Ethereum, 0.829, 0.835, 0.84 for the cheapest sheep that are Generation 0. The Gen 0 sheep when burned get you 1,000 chops. The Gen 1 sheep when burned get you 800 chops. You can do the math. Ethereum is always fluctuating, but essentially the very most simple way that they're being valued currently in game is 1 chop equals $1. So water equals more than $1. If you were to get $500+ every time that you apply an instant, and you do it on a sunny day where it gives you a 20% boost on resource collection, rainy days will give you 80% of the resources collected. Cloudy days give you 1-to-1. Cloudy days will give you 1-to-1. And sunny days will get you 120% of your resources collected. So you get a 20% boost on whatever's collected. That's where you want to farm that stuff. If you take a sheep that isn't farming anything, use the 10 energy to farm some water, start them farming, add a big for 500, add another big for 500. I don't care which farmer you have. Not everybody's going to have the bigs. They're extremely expensive. If you have an above average Jane, floor on them right now is about 1 Ethereum. Ethereum right now is around 1,200 and change. You're going to add 300 water to your farmer. You can take those 300 water right in game, trade resources, change from water to chops. Wool is not yet in the AMM, and it's 138 chops for every 100 water. If you do it on a sunny day, that's 600. You're essentially getting $752 every time that you apply a big on instant, minus the taxes in whatever community that you are farming in. Obviously, some as low as 30, some as high as 50. But this is the fastest way to farm the most valuable resource in the game, water, and is the absolute meta on how farmers should be utilized. So as these farmers come off of cooldown in the next 30 days, it's my estimation that everybody in the game is going to be using instant, unless the shepherd changes something before then. This is the way that I started moving with all of my farmers once we started collecting. And I suggest that if you have a farmer that hasn't been used, all these ones on cooldown were essentially me just boosting instantly on a sunny day and then collecting a ton of water, which I can then use and exchange for whatever other resources that I want to use to pile into, to upgrading the silos in your different communities, to use to build barns or to build bathhouses, because sheep are going to run out of energy at some point and need to use the bathhouses to recharge, or sheep are going to have to use the barns because they want to make more sheep as sheep are being burned. But the meta right now, and the easiest path, is to apply an instant boost. Protection is fine if you map out a sunny day that you want to collect, but right now you make a ton more by just instant on a sunny day and collecting. I wish you all the best. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.